We're gonna start by 11:05, right, Sarthak? Okay, so do we start? All right. Hello, everyone. So, as you are seeing the topic, so it's a mastering farm interview, more from resume building, how you build your resume so that your resume gets selected, and to the coding challenges and learn how to ace that in the coding interview. All right, so let's start with that. So, before starting, I'm gonna let you brief about myself. So, I am Swaraj. I'm a staff software engineer at Okta. The total years of experience for me in IT industry is around 12 plus years of experience. My previous companies are Microsoft, Clarify, and MakeMetric, and two others companies. So I started my career as Java developer, and then I have worked on various microservices, and then database, NoSQL, and SQL, and then have done many of the system design, high-level design, low-level designs, and then I joined Microsoft. I worked on some of the big data platform. I worked on Scala, Spark, and mostly on Azure. And recently, I have joined Okta. So this is all about myself. Now, let me know a little bit about yourself too. So I'm gonna post a poll which you all can answer, and we can start then. So in between, if you get any questions that you want to ask, you can raise your hand, and or you can ask in the chat itself. So keep voting and let me know about yourself. Okay, I've got 13 votes so far. You would have got a poll, Tanmay. Sarthak, can you help here?
Sure. So anybody who wants to take the poll, in the bottom right, if you have logged in from laptop or computer, in the bottom right, you must be seeing a circle, triangle, square. It's activities. You can click on it and then go to polls for taking the poll. For those who have joined from mobile, you can click on those three dots and there you'll see activities from where you can go to polls.
Ankur, the high level system design is not that important, but you need to know the concept of all the system designs like scalability and all other things like acid properties and maybe availability and all. Then right now I don't know your experience level, but mostly I see that if you are an experienced professional, I would be looking for like what you have done, what you have achieved, and mostly the achievement that I look for, and that's what matters. And the skill wise, you should know the basics of computer science. Divakar, Tanmay, yeah, system design. You should know the aspect of system design. You should know what are the concepts through which you can achieve it. What are CAS, what are queues, and all those things. And that is required. You should not be like given the interview to draw diagrams on how will you achieve and all, but you should know the concept of the basics of computer science. All right, so let's start with uh, this. Okay, Hemant Thai, sir, I'm Aditya College of Engineering. I saw nearly full, but I want to learn a technology with help to coding skills and startup. Can you suggest me what better to learn next? Hemant Chilala, I will talk about this in the next slides. Uh, Jayant, it's not that every company is hiring freeze. There are many companies. I recently changed my job, and I had offers from many other companies. So you should keep hustling for the jobs, and you will get it. I will talk about that. Aftab, yes, there are way to go into farm in the UI side. I see recently Google had opened the job for UI engineers. Let's go to polls. So 25 people have given the poll. So I see that 7 are from 7 are student, 10 are fresher, and 8 are experienced. So it's really good that many of them want to go to product-based company and Mang, and they are many of them had already in progress and looking for mentorship, and many of yet to start. But by the end of this session, maybe you will be able to start your preparation. All right, let's go ahead and see the next slide. So what we'll be covering in this session. So I will be covering effective resume building. Why I want to talk about this topic is that until unless you don't have a good resume, you won't be able to get calls from many companies. And that happens. That happened with me in the past. So I just give you an example when I started my career in a service-based company, and I used to build a long resume, let's say 5 or 6 page resume when I was 3 or 4 years of experience, and I was getting calls from nowhere because there are many things I was missing in my resume. And then I started talking to my friends, asking them how to build my resume. I get some input. I also saw some of the good resume that posted by the Google engineers and all, and that really helped me. And I started getting calls from many companies. And now, like it happens to me that my resume are good, effective resume. So I do get call from any Mang-based company or any of the product-based company, top-notch product-based companies, and I give interview with them. So that's why I want to talk about this topic. The second thing is that getting coding interview ready. So many of them usually solve lead code, but still they are not able to clear the coding round. So I just want to get into this aspect that how to clear your coding round interview so that you should be effective in your problem solving ability, not into the coding ability only. Like and that really helps for me and I want to share the same thing, like whatever is my experience, I want to share with you all. The third thing is that preparation of behavioral rounds. Uh, since the session would be very long if I would have talked about the LLD and HLD, so I have skipped that. But I will be talking about how to clear your behavioral rounds because that is very much required in nowadays. And for fourth, I will be taking your Q&A, and if you want to talk, you can talk to me like after the first three is done, and I will give enough time for you all to basically talk about that. All right, then let's start. So you all can ask the questions after each slide. I will ask you. I will open the forum to ask the questions. You can raise your hand. You can come on call and ask, or you can ask on the uh, chat also, right? So how to make the resume very much effective so that you're gonna get calls from many companies. All right. So first thing that comes to the mind of every person is that do I need to make a single page resume or multi-page resume? How big I need to make a resume? So, what I just give you a thumb rule of that. What I follow in my personal resume practice is that when you are at less than 8 years of experience, I do go for a single pager. But more than 8 years of experience, I go for two pager, and that's how I make like should I go for a single pager resume or multi pager resume. Now, there also comes a thing that the font size you can look at any of the latex resume. The font size should be around 12 plus so that the person are able to read what you are able to say. Also they want to understand what are the your experiences, what where have you have worked, what work you have done. You should also specify your GitHub profile, your LinkedIn profile, your phone number, so that even if they want to see your work, what work you have done as a personal basis for your learning, they can see on your GitHub. They can go to your LinkedIn, see who all have given you the recommendations, who all have endorsed you. These all things works, right? So first thing is that. The second thing is research and inspiration. What is this? This is that for a entry level professional there can be different kind of job description. For experience level there can be different kind of job description, and based of job description there are keywords in the job descriptions that you need to add in your resume. So what you can do is that you can go to your LinkedIn jobs, find out the top 5 jobs that you are interested in, and I see top 5 jobs, and this can be any company. This can be Mang, or this can be any product-based company, any startup. Go to those companies, look for what their JD says, and based on that JD, build your resume. So some if you are a Java developer or you are into Java development and you want to see whether I fit on the top 5 roles that I'm looking into, see that what are the company are looking for somebody who is good experience with Java or good experience with data structure and algorithm. So put those keywords in your resume, in your skills, so that it reflects and it comes to the attention of the recruiter that they pick your profile on like uh, various apply that comes from many of the individuals, right? So this research and inspiration is very much needed. Unless you do it, you won't be able to make a good profile. Now, third thing is showcasing your expertise. What is this? This is actually showcase that what you have achieved so far. So even if you are in a college, let's say you have built a website or a project, you explain that what this product or project will do and what it will help, what it will achieve, and what it has achieved so far. So this is very much needed so that the person who is recruiting you will know that okay, if I recruit this person, this will do something, this will solve me a problem which will achieve something. It's like you are a problem solver, but you are not able to showcase your achievement, then you are not like up to the expectations of the company, right? So I think these are the 3 things that you need to put. You can also take help of chat gpt to generate your resume. You can showcase your numbers. You can see what are the let's say for a experienced professional, right? If you have worked on a project that reduce the cost by 10%, right? Mention that I have worked on this project which effectively reduce the cost by 10%, and back it by numbers. And after the numbers, back it with the experience and how do you measure it? What are the metrics you have taken places? And that's the 4 point: accuracy and authenticity. So whatever you talk about in your resume, when there is an interview happening, you have to basically come up with the accuracy and the authenticity of that, so that let's say somebody asks you, how do you measure that the cost reduced by 10%? So you should give a number that, okay, I have this matrix earlier and this matrix was running and I backed on the 6 month of data. This was the average cost that was coming. And then when I deployed, I checked for 3 months. On the 3 month on the trot, this was the average came. And that's how we figured out that 10% of cost effectiveness has achieved, right? So that's the case. So you have to back all your data with accuracy and authenticity. The fifth thing is that seek expert advice from mentors and community. See all the resume that you find out on your LinkedIn. Follow the people from many company. You can take help from mentors. Go for resume review. See what is missing in your profile. Will it be picked by the person that you are reviewing from? So somebody like me, if you give your resume, I will say that okay, I will be very much like to work with you if I see your resume. That should the first impression that should come from your resume, right? So this is all 5 points that I take care when I build my resume. So I think there are 2 people that who have raised hand. Asit Joshi, can you ask your question?
Yeah. Hey, hi, Swaraj. Good morning.
Hi, hi, good,
Yeah.
Asit.
Yeah. So, Swaraj, basically, my question is around, I have around 14 years of experience. So, just wanted to check, the strategy would remain the same, or would it be some different while applying to product companies and service companies, or, how would that be? Just wanted to get some insight on that.
Yeah, the main strategy comes in the research and inspiration part. So let's say for me, let's say if I'm targeting some of the startup, I will look for the startup JD and build my resume based on that, the keyword that they are expecting. If I go for Google or Amazon, they don't give much attention to language. They give much attention to what you have achieved, the data structure algorithm, the high level system design, the scalability part. So I will put more words of that in my resume, right? That I have worked on. So and the service-based company are more reliable to what language you have worked on, and So in that case, I will have more emphasis on, let's say if I am a Java developer, I will give more emphasis to my Java development part. So this is how I build my resume.
Okay. So can I ask a follow-up question? Sorry, if possible.
Yeah.
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 So do we need to create resumes for like separate job descriptions? Like, do we need to create?
So basically, I create two resume. One
Okay.
resume is morely focused towards top-notch company, and one is for like if I go for any startup or so, I focus more on like how I give value to the organization. In case of I'm applying for a startup.
Perfect. Thanks, Swaraj.
Yeah. If anyone else has any questions, they can ask right now. Like, then I'm going to move to next topic. Uh, I am gonna put both, Lalit. I will put my technical achievement also. I'm gonna put my business achievement also. So for me, I just give you an example that I worked on Microsoft on a product, and this project was basically uh, towards the noise reduction and cost reduction, and that was a kind of business achievement, right? Because cost achievement and like noise reduction is not part of like any technical achievement, but I also worked on the technical complexity of it to basically solve it. So I'm gonna mention both of them in my resume. Jayant Mithya, surely you can book a session with me, a trial session with me. I can discuss you all those things, and then I can take a look at your resume and can explain you what benefit you're gonna get. Tanmay Sharma, what if we don't have any work experience, and what should we do then for freshers? Tanmay, basically, you have to build your GitHub profile. You have to work on some of the showcase your work that you have done in your college, and that you have to and based on that you have to create a resume, and so that these are the projects that I have worked on, and interview will focus more on that. They will ask questions regarding that. All right. Anyone else has any questions? No? Should we move ahead? All right. Now coming to coding interview, right? So I see most of them, like I see on LinkedIn that many of the people basically struggles with this. And this is the real headache for many people because I see that more experienced people are more good with high level design, but they struggle with coding interview. The college person, like the students and freshers, are lack of resources. So one thing is that how to choose the first thing is that choose the right resource, right? So what are the right resource? First thing is that choosing the right programming language. Okay, which programming language to choose? Now, it's always better to choose a programming language which you find very easy to write code in. And same time, it is high level language so that even if you are 3-4 years of experience plus, you will be asked the low level design, 2+ years of experience, low level design, and all will be asked. Their object oriented programming language helps very much, right? So choose a high level language. I personally recommend C++, Java, Python, and JavaScript that you can use for your coding interview preparation. I personally use Java as a coding language because I started my career as a Java developer. Then I do worked on C Sharp, then I worked on Python and Scala, but they all are the language that I use for mostly for work. But for the coding interview, I use Java. Now, if you are very good writing C, then choose that in the coding interview because you should not get nervous during the coding round, right? So yeah, that is the first thing. The second thing is that where do you write your code to? Where do you solve these coding questions? Normally, people solve it on lead code. That's okay, but lead code has around 1400 questions, and that is also not topic divided. How do you get the right resources? And there comes the two things. One thing is that if you already know like these are the topics, okay, and these are the curriculums, then you can prepare according to that. The second thing is where the mentorship comes into picture. Where what happens is that, let's say if you take mentorship, I'm going to give you a path that, okay, solve these questions, solve a two pointer, solve a sliding window questions. Based on the, you can solve the questions. How many questions you're going to basically make to get you prepared. Many people solve around 500 questions, 600 questions. Still, I see that on Lead Code Discuss, there are many people struggle on solving those questions in the real interview in Google or Amazon or Microsoft. Now, what happens here is that you just solve the coding questions. You don't go by the preparation route. What is the preparation route? Is that when you attempt a question, think down the problem from the input to the output. How will you break the problem? Okay, break the problem since you have an input. How will you achieve that into output? Build out your logic. Okay, and that will be your first brute force solution. Write it down, write the code for it, then see what is the time complexity you are achieving from it. If there is any chance of improvement or not. If you are not able to do it, then go to check the hints and take whether you have an optimization there or not. Work on your optimization again, write the code for it. And that's how you need to solve one question at a time and find out the patterns. So whenever the interviewer asks you any questions, see whether it's fitting to the pattern or not. More of the time, it will fit in a pattern. Let's say, for yesterday, I was talking to one of my mentee. He was struggling with one of the problems. So he gave me the problem. I was seeing it first time. So what I did, I took the input and the output. I see that, okay, I can go via this route. And my time complexity was, there was two array. So my time complexity was around uh, n square m, right? And I said them, okay, this is the first solution that I'm getting. And he said, okay, by this I'm getting the answer. That's okay. But do I see the optimization here? I saw that I was doing revisiting the array again and again. So I saw there is a chance of sub problems here. So I was recalculating the sub problems again and again. I thought, okay, I can apply a DP here, right? I applied a DP and I solved it into n into n. So this is how I approach, and this is how you should approach the problems. And that's what my second point is, which is coding versus problem solving. You can do coding. Like no company wants to hire a coding machine. They want to hire a problem solver. So the company will have some of the problems in their technical challenges, and you have to solve them. So you would have heard that the lead code is only asked in the coding interview, but nobody in a company actually use that, right? That's the truth. And basically, you won't even like find it that, okay, I'm working on a tree, because you won't see at that picture. But this is how the company works in. They expect you to understand what is the tree, how it works, what is the how the level order traversal works, how the depth first search works, and based on that, any problem comes in, whether you are able to break down it or not. And if you are able to break down, you can apply your logic into that and then solve it in the effective time complexity, right? So that is that. Now coming to these are the 2 points I was talking about, the preparation part. The third point is around when you are sitting in a coding interview, what you're gonna do. First thing is that asking the right follow-up question. What I see when I take interview in companies, what happens is that the interviewee comes up, and then when I ask the question, they right away jump to the solution. Do not do that. Never do that. So you have to ask the right follow-up questions. If they have given, you can ask for input and output at the first. You can also build your own input and your own output, and then validate with them whether I'm going on the right track or not. Then apply your logic and ask them whether this logic looking good to you or not. So interviewer will give your yes or no. They're gonna give you hint if you're not going on the right track. And this is how you should take your interview in a right direction, so that you are able to basically clear it, right? So these are the 2 points. The next 2 points that I have written is that asking the right follow-up question, and second thing is the breaking the problem statement. So never come up with the best solution. Like if you know, that's fine. But if you don't know, don't think that first time I need to give a solution which is optimized. Whether I have given interview with Amazon or I have given interview with Microsoft, Uber, Google, what I do is that I come up with a brute force solution and I validate that I'm going on the right track, and then I go for the optimization. So then I can think of whether I can break down the for loop or I can add a space to solve my time complexity. Right? These are the things that you can assume while you are working breaking the problem statement. Right? And fifth thing is the consistency. Why I'm talking about that is that many people what they do is that they basically right like on weekend they will solve around 20 questions and next 5 days they won't do anything. And then they come up again on weekend and they solve 20 questions. That is never gonna help you because the 20 questions that you have solved will go out of context in the next week that you will be working on the 20 next questions. So for that case, what I do is that when I start my coding interview preparation, I give myself a three hours each day, and it goes up to 3 months. On those 3 days, I just build a consistency that I will solve 2 questions daily or 3 questions daily, and I solve that. Okay. So these are the 5 points that I take care while acing the coding interview. There are more things that I can talk about, but these are the top 5 points that I think is the main to acing the coding interview. So now I will be open for the questions. If you have any questions, you can ask me. So I see many questions Q&A here. So Tanmay Sarma, how many lead code questions? Tanmay, there is no numbers of lead code questions. I solve around 150 to 200 only, but I solve on the patterns. And if you follow the patterns, you don't need to solve 500, 600, but you have to have the consistency. Anonymous. Sir, I'm a final year student and don't know coding much, don't have any skill, very confused about my career. You can give me a roadmap. Sure, I don't know who this anonymous is. I don't know the name, but you can certainly book a trial session with me. I will surely make a roadmap for you, and then we can go for LTM from there. Tanmay Sharma, is competitive programming necessary for securing position? There is no necessity. Nobody asks you to go for competitive programming, but if you do, it's very good for you because it's a time-based thing, and it really helps you to know that what is the benefit of time test, right? So that is the benefit you will get. Ankur Daya, do you make notes while solving coding questions? Ankur, really, I don't make notes, but I do write down that this for loop is going for O of n complexity. So in the code itself, in my lead code, I write down the comments and say that this is the logic that I'm taking, and this is the time complexity that I'm getting from here. Ankur Daya, how important is open source contribution? Yeah, it is important, but I haven't done uh, like so far, so I cannot comment on that. But if you are really like into open source, you can contribute there. Then what would be effective revision strategy for DSA? So what I do is that I usually start the questions that I find more difficult, and those questions I revisit again. Which pattern? Nimisa, there are many patterns. So if you see, there are for an array, there are 2 pointers. There are single for loop. There is sliding window. There is fixed width window that you need to move. And for a string, there are 2 pointers again. There is sliding window. Then for uh, linked list, there are fast pointers, slow pointers. There are various coding patterns. For tree, there is DFS and BFS, and for BFS, usually what will you use, queue or stack, in what case what you need to use. Like if you go to very depth, there are a lot of patterns, but you can easily make it if you start working on it. This. Jatin Gupta, from where to book a session with you? Jatin Gupta, you can find the link in the chat. and from there you can book it. In how many ways we can focus on solution because Tiwari using collection method, not using predefined methods. Uh, Vikas Tiwari usually, if whenever I give interview, nobody asks you not to use like uh, I just give you an example of k top elements in an stream. So it works out of heap, right? So what I do is that I use priority queue of Java directly in my interview, and that works for me. Like you don't need to implement heap. But if somebody asks you write implement a min heap or max heap, then there you need to write the code for that. But if you are writing working on some other problems, you can just use the priority queue and all. Tanmay Sharma, what coding should be used for solving coding question? If not able to, how should I approach it? Avoid forgetting the approach I learned from other people's solution. Tanmay, you should never go for directly to other people's solution. There is a timeout thing that I use is that if I'm not able to find an answer in 20 minutes, I take a timeout, take one hint, then I solve it in next 20 minutes. I'm not able to do, I leave the question for tomorrow. So this is what I do. Nimisa, that means we need to go topic wise plus patterns wise. Yes, correct. It's a topic wise plus pattern wise. Do you remember past pattern that you used to, that you are not making notes? If you are not making notes, uh, Ankur, I have set up questions for myself. Like that really helps me. So for each patterns, I have written down the questions, and based on that, I see for I also do sometime lead code weekly and bi-weekly, and there I find it some questions that are important. I take note of that. Nikhil, I have 3 years in full years experience. Not want to switch to product based, but I have not mastered any particular technology. I was getting switched multiple times during this. Will this impact my interview that I have experience but not mastered it? Nikhil, that's okay if you switch many companies. That doesn't matter. What you need to do is that you need to prepare well and make your resume such effective that you get calls. When you get calls, you will sit in the interview, go with right mindset, and you will ace it. How to demonstrate problem solving mindset and skills in interview with respect to projects. So, Ans Mishra, what you need to do is that you need to explain when you talk about your past projects. Explain first what you were solving, how what are the tasks that you made out of this project, and out of those tasks, what was your contribution? Whom do you talk to? Did you talk to your team, your other team, and whoever will be using your solution? Then how do you make sure that each of the team member were ready to accept the thing that you were proposing? And based on that, you can also explain what are the trade-offs that you have taken, and that is very necessary to discuss about the trade-offs. And then it shows you that you know the aspect of how to break down the problem, because trade-offs really deal with the problem solving mindset. Which type of project we put in our resume to shortlist for further round? Aditya, those resume which you think that those projects that you think that has achieved something, if you put that, will be very helpful for anybody to pick in the next rounds. I think there are many questions here. Jatin Gupta, can we land a job if not get placed in college after brushing up my skill on it hard after college? Jatin Gupta, I got offer from one of the service-based company in my college. I didn't get the joining letter for so many times, so I went outside, look for the job, I got it. So you will definitely get it if you are brushing up your skill continuously. If you are not breaking it, if you are consistent enough, you will definitely get it. Ankur Daya, I don't know what your experience level is, but say for me, like as a 10 plus years of experience, I know I need to look at everything. So my round consists of like first two will be data structure and algorithm. Next will be low level design. Then there will be high level design. Then I have to work on my past projects and then behaviorals also, right? So These are the things that works. Are backend job opportunities readily available at Frontline? Yeah, Prasant, there is no. If you see on on LinkedIn jobs, there are a lot more opportunity that you can think of. So there is no lesser opportunity in India also. I was getting call from many company when I was trying to switch to job, and that too in a difficult time period. So I can watch for that. So somebody was raising hands. I think everyone has. I have answered every question. If you have any question, you can talk on the calls also. Any tips of applying for off-campus job as fresher resume not getting so lot of applications? What should be the optimum ATS score? 80 plus is good ATS score, and Mishra. If you are less than 80, then your resume is not talking too much. So you have to work on. You can talk to the mentors about the resume review, and there you can increase your ATS score. If there is a gap of 1 plus, yes, definitely you can get a job. You can mention that you have so and so problem, and so due to that you are not able to land in like able to apply for any jobs or anything, and then you can give this reason in your interview if they ask. Usually they won't ask. All right, let's go to the main aspect. What happens? What is the behavioral interview looks like? All right. So nowadays, these things are really asked from in many coding interview questions. This will be the mostly last round, which is a company fitment round, where they ask for behavioral interview, which is like they will ask you, what if your manager is not uh, happy with you, or they will ask like, what if the team member in your team, some other team member uh, in a meeting yelled at you, what will you do? Like these are the things gonna ask you, right? And what will you do? And they check whether you are really company fit person or not. Do you have the leadership quality or not? So there are many questions around this, around most probably 10 plus questions, and they basically judge based on like your past experience. Now, your past experience not only from your work, they can also from your personal life, or they can also from your college life for the freshers. So what will you do? So you have to basically answer these questions in a pattern. What is this pattern? Is that first you need to set the context that this is what the scenario was. This was the scenario. So for me, let's say I will say that okay, I was working at Microsoft and I was working on so and so project, and I was during design discussions, I was proposing a design, and somebody yelled at me that okay, why are you talking about this nonsense and all? Like I can talk about this, right? But then uh, this is the context that I will set. Then I will write down what are the tasks that I have done. So let's say for me, there is if a question has been asked that have you ever worked on a project where the timelines were slipped? So I will set up a context that I was working in so and so company and I was working on this project. I have set up this timeline, but due to this problem, the timeline was missed. So what did I do? So explain the action. So this is your task. So I will say that okay, I send out a mail to I set up a one-on-one with my manager. Then I set up and then I set up the expectation that this will be the next timeline. Then I send out the mail to the senior management. I got the approval for the timeline, and then you will say that what is the result you got? Okay, I delivered the project in my next timeline, and people were really appreciative that I actually called out when the things were sleeping, and basically this was the result out of it. And finally, you really have to talk about the learnings that you have got. So for me, the learnings would be, let's say, I would say that for the estimation, I don't took care of the testing will take so much time, or I won't get the data from some other uh, questions, right? So these things is your learning. So what learning you have given that I could have prepared it well, that I could have prepared the data well before the starting the project. I could have set up the testing environment before the start of the project. So these are the things that I have learned, right? And why I've written the fifth point is prepare beforehand. So you can search on Google that give me a top 10 technical behavioral interview questions and prepare your answer for that. What would you think about the situation where you would be in and what your answer would be, so that during the interview you don't get nervous. So these are the 5 points that I'm going to talk about behavioral interview. Now there is totally on the your questions and answers that you can ask me. I think most of you have asked. So now I'm gonna talk more about the how to how do I will help in your one-to-one mentorship. So it is like first thing you're gonna do is that if you can book a trial session that usually run for 15 to 30 minutes. So in this, I will understand your needs, where you are in right now. You are a student or fresher, or you are yeah. Nikhil, you have any questions? Yeah. What if the college not invites a single company for placement? How to get first internship? I have to do prepare. Where do I apply, etc. Nikhil, you have to basically apply on LinkedIn. There are a lot of intern jobs you can search for and apply from that. You can build your resume, and you can also uh, book a trial session with me. Like that's what I'm talking about. Like in the trial session, I will identify your skill gaps and discuss how can I support via long-term mentorship. There I will define a timelines for you, like by the end of 4 months, or by the end of 2 months, or by the end of 6 months, you will be interview ready. So in the first trial session, if you go for LTM, how do I do is that I basically take 2 sessions a week, and in a month there will be 8 sessions. So in this, let's say if you are struggling with a certain topic, I can teach you that. I can give you a resource for the concept. I can give you a curriculum like that I talked about for the DSA and questions, where I talked about the topics and the patterns. I can give you the topics, patterns, and the questions according to that you can practice. I can take a mock interview for you. Projects and hands-on support, the preparation about the past projects, the trade-offs that I talked about, and all those things, and the resume review. Then I can basically talk about, as I told, like every 2 day in a week that I take as a mentor session. Then I usually take a follow-up, and then I build a goal and task for you. The same time, I can also help you with the placement assistant. Like I can post your profile to the mentors group where you can get the referrals. I can help you if you have any offer. I can help you with the salary negotiations and all. Yeah, I think these are the help I can provide in a long-term mentorship. Now, if you want to book a free trial session right now, so this is the QR code that you can scan to, or if you go to app.preplace.in, you can search for Swaraj Kumar and book a free trial session. If you go to app.preplace.in right now, the second profile will be mine in the mentors. All right, let's open the questions that I have. Few questions here, which is how to deal with 90 days notice period even after getting a call from PVC recruiter hiring this long notice period, they never schedule the interview. That happens, but you have to deal with it. You can say them that you have a buyback policy and go for the interview, and then basically I usually like somebody have 90 days notice period, I usually don't join those company because that really hampers during the interview. Nobody wants to hire a person with a 90 days notice period because they fear that you will be going for the offer shopping. But yeah, you can say that you can talk to your team members whether some of them has done a buyout, and if buyout is the norm in your company, you can ask your recruiter that the buyout is possible, and you can go join before 90 days also. Okay. So Nikhil, actually, I want to also know about the technology which I have to choose getting the job as a. Sure, Nikhil, we can talk about these things in a trial session. You can book it right now in a pre-placed. What are the show what you have done, post it on LinkedIn. You can use platform like, yeah, obviously, Jatin, that's a great answer. You can post it platforms like Internsala, Naukri.com, Indeed. Pooja, how to deal with 90 days? As I said, like I already answered your question, Pooja. Is that you can talk about your team member who has already left and ask them whether buyout was possible or not, and talk about that in with your recruiter. Hi Swaraj, I have done my testing in 1 year, but I am looking for switch. How can I apply? Faizan, are you into SDET role, software development in test? Okay, you are into automation testing. Yeah, Faizan, you can apply for many SDET roles, and right now, many companies like Microsoft doesn't have any test profile. They give the software engineers for the test also, so you can apply for those company also. How to approach people on LinkedIn for project guidance? Normally, Tanmay, it's very difficult for the project guidance on LinkedIn. You can build your network around your friends to work on some of the projects. There are many open set database that are available that you can use to build your project. But if you really want to get a guidance on projects, you can book a trial session or take a mentorship. That's gonna help you. Ankur, how often should we switch jobs so it doesn't affect our resume in a bad way? Ankur, it doesn't matter. I see people in 13 years switch 14 jobs, so it doesn't really matter. The only thing is that one time they will ask like, why are you are changing so much? So you can well prepare your answer for it, but it doesn't matter a lot. Is it possible to change domain? I have 2 years in ServiceNow project, but I want to go to. Yes, sure. You can take a trial session with me. Anonymous, whoever is asking this, I can guide you like how to go ahead with that. Lalit, what kind of questions do you ask in interviews? Do you ask interviews? I use regarding my role, large company interview, just reply on your role will be decided later. So you can ask what kind of challenging work the team members do there. What is the day-to-day life of the software engineers typically? What are the on-call activities? You can also ask around that. You can also ask how obsessed the company with the customer. What is their 5 years plan? Where they, as a company, what they are expecting, or as a project, or as a team, what they expect to be in the company. You can ask these types of questions. You can also ask do you think like kind of my experience, how challenging work for me, or what is the um, learning thing for me? Like what can I learn from if I join this team or this project or this company, right? So I think these are the questions that you can ask. If you just ask for your role, they will say that you can talk to your hiring manager, and then or they can say that your role will be decided later. So you can ask other companies. After applying, a lot of companies didn't get OA, didn't get shortlisted. How to open? I talked about the same point in my resume, uh, anonymous. But you can also take a trial call with me. I can explain you more ways to get a call. Uh, so there is a slide that is already there. Uh, I have really talked about how to get your profile shortlisted. All right. Anybody wants to have more questions? They can ask. We have still have 5 minutes. Meanwhile, you can also book trial session. I have the QR code open here, and you can also go to app.preplace.in. You will search for Swaraj Kumar, or you will see the second profile is mine. How can I secure off-campus job opportunity, and how can I create a resume that increases my chance of getting selected? Uh, Yeah, Tanmay. So basically, you have to work on some of the projects. There are many data sets that are available. Like for some time back, there was COVID data set that was available, and you can look on LinkedIn for many data sets that are openly available. You can build a project around it, showcase on GitHub, and put that in your resume. So and that will help. Atul Raj, any tips for getting your resume shortlisted? As I talked about the same thing, Atul, in my initial slides, that how to get your resume shortlisted, what are the things that you need to put in, and basically you can also book a trial session. I can give a lot of hint about the resume shortlisting over there. So I think it's really that you have to basically do some research of what is happening in the tech industry. Other than that, read many of the blogs, Medium. You can read high level designs on Medium or highscalability.com everywhere, and then your resume will get shortlisted if you put those points. All right, so let's wind up the session now. I think all of the questions I have answered. If you have many questions, you can talk to me via chat when you book a trial session. Sorry for this. Okay, all right, let's wind up, Sarthak.
Yes, okay. Thanks, Swaraj, for such a wonderful and interactive session. I hope everybody in the audience loved it. And everybody who have joined, thank you so much for joining this session. I have shared a link of Swaraj's public profile, mentorship profile in the chat box. You can just go ahead and book a free trial session with him where you'll get to interact one-on-one with Swaraj for 30 minutes. And from there, you can, just discuss what are your problems that you are facing and understand how Swaraj can help you out with. So please do go ahead and book a free trial session. The link is in the chat. And thank you everyone once again for joining the session today.
Thank you, everyone.